so freaking getting my sound back up. Not like there and there we go. All right.
All right. So, welcome back to another game with the University of Toronto Overwatch team. I will say that because, as of yet, I don't know the name of the away team. That's not that wasn't on the non-existent copy that we were not given. But so it's been a week. It's been a week since the last scrim we saw with the Toronto Overwatch squad, and they looked pretty good. I want to say. What your thoughts?
Honestly, I was really impressed. I thought that they did a pretty good job. I was impressed mainly by Captain and definitely by the deep work of Plankton. I'm excited to see what today brings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Plankton and League Captain definitely did some standout work. Though I will say there are, it's not entirely clean. We did see, some issues coming out. There were a couple times where early on it felt like Toronto didn't necessarily have the best handle on where their enemies' ults were, and it was only like a very clutch ult coming out of League Captain or Big Wally that kind of brought them back into things. And the other thing was there were a couple times throughout the games where we saw the University of Toronto overcommit on using ultimates that kind of left them a little bit weakened for the next fight. And it didn't really come back to punish them. They didn't lose a game because of it. But it is a mechanical, like, sort of macro error that could be punished. So it's up, we'll see this week whether they've sort of managed to tighten up that gameplay, keep a tighter leash on that, or whether the away team is going to be able to capitalize on that.
It'll certainly be interesting to see. I think that mostly the problems that I saw with the University of Toronto definitely came on the 2CP maps, most notably Lunar Colony. But yeah, no, overall I think you bring up some very interesting points. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Though I would also keep an eye on King of the Hill, because from what I've seen looking at the Toronto games for the past few weeks, it does seem to be their shakiest map type. They don't look terrible on it by any means, but that's usually where, if they're going to drop a map to the away team, that's where we see it happen.
Do we want to...
Yeah, I guess while we're waiting, brief introduction for the casting. I am, team name is Squid Squad. Okay, so, hey guys, I am Cryptic here with Broseph Stalin. The wonderfully named Broseph Stalin.
Yeah. Yeah, we are relatively new to this, so please let us know how we're doing. Mm-hmm. It's always nice to get some, spots to work on.
Feedback is always nice, but I feel like now that we've said that, we've opened the floodgates, and we're just gonna get absolutely roasted. Yeah, no. That's anytime fair. We mess up, anytime we, anything, they're gonna be on us.
Hey, that's fair. Keep us honest.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I'm okay with that.
That's fine. Yeah. Happy to be here casting this game for you guys tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first time we're doing this live. Last time we, obviously we're doing this off the cuff, but we're not broadcasting it live on Twitch, so that's going to be interesting as well. And I will apologize in advance for my observing, because I don't know if you guys have ever played around with it, but Overwatch's spectator mode is not the most fun thing in the world.
It's kind of a headache. I'm glad you're observing and not me, because I just end up...
Oh, so yeah, all the blame comes down to me. All of it. This is all my fault. The stream's running off my computer. I'm the one who has to, all the praise, all the blame.
Hey, that's fine. At least you get all the praise.
Whatever praise that comes. So
please, we're gonna do fine.
We're gonna do great.
You just need that kind of naive optimism that says you can do anything.
All right, so we're Okay, we have another member of
Slowly
the
wait
away team coming
for
in.
him.
Players slowly filtering in. And I'm kind of curious to see kind of what we'll be seeing here. Because it looks like Dappercoat kind of tends to favor tanks. So I'm assuming that Dappercoat is going to be the tank for the enemy team. Quasar seems to be the off tank. We shall see.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see what maps and equally the setups that we're going to be. Words. Yeah, the maps and setups that we're going to see, because I think, if I remember, it was University of Toronto that brought out that really interesting Bastion.
No.
No,
That was
that
Core Alpha
Core
last
Alpha?
time.
That was okay. Well then, for those of you who didn't see it, a very interesting Bastion strat on King's Row with obviously a Bastion, and yeah, thank you.
Be weird to run a Bastion
Thank
strat with a Roadhog.
right, yeah. Thank you, Ryan, pointing out the obvious. Yes, and an Orisa sitting up on that kind of raised stair platform where the mini health pack is.
A Reinhardt Orisa composition where they could kind of rotate around, take the high ground, and use the protected Bastion to shell the point and really make it difficult for Toronto to get back on. And it paid dividends for Core Alpha. Toronto didn't quite seem to have a reaction to that until much later in the point. Much later in the map, I should say, because when Big Wally swapped onto that Genji, we did finally see them swap off of the Bastion. But it'll be interesting to see how Toronto adapts to new, strange comps that are going to be coming out possibly during the series.
Have we heard any talk of what the maps are going to be, or is that more going to be, I guess?
I think that's more going to be decided in the moment. It usually is.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure if this was going to be pre-planned.
Or it might be. No one tells me anything.
that's fair. Hey, you're getting more information than me over here.
Literally all I'm told is, hey, we're doing a scrim tonight. We want to do it on Twitch. Here's the stream key. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Lego.
Oh, man.
Blink verbally. Okay. Blink, blink. We're not going to be watching it sort of in-game, obviously, but... Your map pick first. Let us know whenever. So apparently the away team's getting to pick the map, and they have selected Dorado. So this could be fun. This could be fun.
That's going to be exciting.
Straight up assault map. A lot of, especially in that early point, I think we could see Lee Captain bringing out the Genji or not the Genji, the McCree, yeah. I should say.
I think,
McCree.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah.
He's and I don't mean to undersell the man or oversell him. I'll let you guys see and prove it for yourselves. But the captain is an impressive DPS to watch.
Yeah, I've always been really impressed by the ability he has to get kills with the Deadeye so consistently, because usually you see that get brought out as a zoning ultimate. So the fact that he does consistently get kills is pretty impressive. Like, usually we see him pick up 2 and sometimes more.
He has good positioning and strong aim. He's definitely someone who wants, if you want to study someone who's like a primarily DPS player, yeah, I think it's a solid field.
Yeah, definitely. Though, again, going back to the sort of ultimate economy management thing, we have seen him commit the Deadeye to fights where it's already won.
That is true.
Yeah, it was most notable last week on Route 66, where they threw down, I think it was 4 ultimates to push Core Alpha back, and Core Alpha came back in with an ult advantage and won. And ended up preventing the full hold that Toronto had been threatening. So that
That's definitely something that they should look into. It can certainly be a problem, something that would separate higher tier teams.
yeah, and again, it didn't cost them tremendously. They did still win the match ultimately. They didn't. They won Route 66. Squid Squad, they had it together. They didn't get punished for it too severely, but it is something that can cost them.
Right. Hey, you know what? We have a moment of downtime. Do you think Blizzard would ever implement what would be the word? I guess like team cards. Like how these are all all squids or all. I think that's Protoss. Like have it be like you could have Envious's thing right there.
Oh yeah, that would be kind of neat. I imagine. Cool. I imagine they will.
I expect them.
Oh yeah, with the Overwatch League, especially, they're doing like they've had all the teams signed, sort of rebrand. Like Envious is no longer Envious; they're Dallas Fuel, and each team that has had their new thing announced, each team that has had their new name and branding announced has had on the little title card, there's been an Overwatch character with a skin in that team's colors. So we might see that coming out as well, where you've got like team icons and skins, just to sort of like really show your support for your hometown team.
That'd be really cool.
It would
I hope that they I'd honestly be surprised if they didn't. I mean, team like a character skin would be. I don't want to say extreme, but I wouldn't see them necessarily jump into that so quickly.
Mm-hmm. It'll still be interesting to see, because for Shanghai Dragons there was a Mei. I don't know if it's going to be a skin, but there was sort of a unique Mei design shown for that. There was a Genji for Dallas Fuel, which is really funny because one of the teams particularly known for the Genji. Like Effect is a very good Genji. But you think of him as a different character, I think. Yeah. And I think San Francisco Shock, the NRG fielded team, had Doomfist.
Huh. Okay.
Big orange Doomfist.
All right. It looks like we are now at full team strength.
All right, we've actually got both teams in the game now. The University of Toronto Squid Squad versus the away team. We don't have a name for them.
Oh, are they not? I thought they were the Squid Squad.
No. Which ones?
Oh,
icons.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut up now. All right. It looks like it looked like getting into the game.
I'd like to say that we have gone so far and got so far, but we really haven't gotten anywhere just yet.
Yep. Don't worry. Things will be
eventually.
Looks no, we are. Well, we did it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. High fives all around. Yes, I get free cam.
Oh no, I'm free camming because I don't want to mess around with the. I just don't want to mess around with friggin' spectator mode too much.
That's fair. I can't say that I blame you. But guys, it is good to have you all here. Let's know it's early, but
Yeah, thank you everyone who came out to watch tonight's games. So, starting off, we are going to have the University of Toronto Squid Squad on defense, while the away team is on attack. Kind of an interesting composition coming out of the away team, if they end up sticking with that is, where you've got the Zarya and the Winston and the Doomfist. It's interesting because you usually see the Zarya get run with the Reinhardt or a diva with the Winston. What do you make of this?
Um, it's interesting. Um, sorry, I was writing something down, so I kind of caught you in and out.
Mm-hmm.
The Doomfist is definitely interesting to see. I don't think this is necessarily the best part of the map for him. I think you could definitely see him run better at the third point of the
Yeah, the
assault map.
Doomfist can be very strong on the end, but with the uppercut, he does have a chance to sort of hop to rooftops and contest the high ground from the Squid Squad, and that seems to be what he aims to do, because he dives in deep and immediately gets the kill onto Big Wally. That was... not only does he get it, he gets out of it alive, forcing the res out of Fanny Zhao. And Toronto is kind of forced to fall back here as the away team dives forward, pushing them back off the high ground and through the choke. Toronto's immediately on the defensive here.
They're doing good damage, which is good to see. It's interesting to Nubkey.
Setting up in the...
yeah, out of position, but he jumps back in fine.
Yeah, but Bordy gets the kill onto Lee Captain, only to be taken down by Big Wally, but that res just came out from Dappercoat to bring up Klein. So you've got a few minutes without the Doomfist. This is your chance to really swing the fight into your favor, and Chabones really goes in for that, taking out Dappercoat as Big Wally drops Nubkey, and this push seems to be dead on arrival for the away team. They've got to kind of back up now. Toronto has a second to try and stabilize, and... we'll see if any swaps come out. But it looks like the away team is sticking with it.
I'd be surprised if any swaps were to come out. They did.
Bordy drops Lee Captain. That's an opening pick that can really make a difference here, because there goes the long-range hit scan that could sort of try and damage Doomfist on the way in. Chabones is dropped, Fanny Zhao is dropped, and it looks like Toronto just wasn't prepared for this level of early aggression from the away team, as Plankton drops, Big Wally drops, and it's only Ichan. Not anymore. Lee Captain has just gotten back, but really there's not much you can do in that 1v6 situation. So that's going to be a pretty quick and easy capture for the away team.
You know, I think the most interesting thing to say right now is the fact that Lee pretty overextended away from the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And doubly the fact that just a University of
Earthshatter coming down, but no one's in position to really capitalize on it. Dappercoat gets dropped, but no one can get that kill. Okay, Grav Surge came out from Plankton, but Nubkey drops him. Toronto's in disarray here. They're usually so good at capitalizing on those Graviton Surges from Plankton, but in this case, they just weren't able to do that. Lee Captain's dropped by Noobkey. The Toronto squad just doesn't really seem to have an answer to this early aggression, and Quasar drops the Grav Surge, and Bordy comes down with that Space Jam combo, dropping Chabones, forcing the res out of Fanny Zhao, and there's just been no letting up on this aggression from the away team. They've been all over it, and Bordy, despite getting dropped back down, Dappercoat brings them right back up. Sound Barrier comes out from Klein, and this point just keeps on rolling, but Big Wally with the big Death Blossom, finally getting the kills that Toronto needs to stabilize. And if you're the Squid Squad, if you're the Squid Squad, that's a stay of execution there.
It's good to see that they actually will have a couple minutes to kind of reset the defenses.
Yeah,
as they really have had no answer to the enemy team's just unbridled aggression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bordy, however, has switched off of that Doomfist and onto the Genji, so we're seeing a more something closer to a dive comp coming in. But, you know, Big Wally on that Reaper is going to make life hard for Nubkey to get that initiation. But when you've got that Pulse Bomb from Griff to open the door, and Bordy there to open it up, big Earth Shatter from Chabones taking out Dappercoat, and looks like we're going to hopefully be seeing another reset out of the away team. Bordy falls, and Griff falls back.
You know, I like the change from Plankton to over to the Diva, who, as I had mentioned, is something that's impressed me on. But at the same time, with Lee Captain being generally as extended as he is, I would almost like to see I can stay on the Zarya just to
Yeah,
bail him out.
and as you say that, he's far extended onto the left side, and the away team just takes that high ground, catches him completely out of position, and once again they have an opening pick. Ichan drops the beat to protect from that Dragon Blade out of Bordy and mitigates the worst of that damage, but Fanny Zhao drops. That is the biggest source of healing for Toronto going away, and they may get Bordy, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do too much. The damage is coming out, and despite Lee Captain getting that tack visor off, he doesn't seem to be able to make anything happen with it. But as soon as I say that, Big Wally, loving to prove me wrong, as always, gets the kills onto Klein and Bordy. And just like that, the numbers have evened out for Toronto. And despite the grab coming out from Quasar, you're not going to be able to capitalize on that. And that, to me,
I feel like that was a far overcommitment of that Graviton Surge.
Exactly.
It takes so long to build.
Yeah.
Just burnt it like tissue paper as a parting gift.
Yeah, and when you've only got the Winston, sure, you can get a lot of cleave damage, but the Winston alone isn't going to be enough to DPS down the entire team, especially when Chabones can rotate the shield to just block the beam coming out from Quasar. And I think maybe that grab was just to get the ult out of the way, because Quasar is now switched off onto the Diva. Noobkey dives in deep again, and Griff's coming in, but there is a bit of a stagger there. No one can really punish him for it, though, but he's dropped down onto the point. Chabones is beating on him. But we're seeing the DMAC from Quasar. Lee Captain opens that up, and he's about to get that tack visor. We gotta watch out for it. And he's popped it. Beat drop coming out from Klein has absorbed the worst of the punishment that can be done. But it looks like even though Griff can get that DMAC onto Plankton, and Bordy gets the kill onto Lee Captain, the worst has passed. Toronto can pretty safely fall back, regroup, and they're in a really good position. The away team's got to come in very quickly, and they aren't looking too good in the ult position. Big Earth Shatter from Chabones.
With an incredible
that's what you need to win the game. Absolutely.
I was going to say that
Yeah, Griff is still running around on the point, trying to buy some time for his team. Bordy comes in. Griff goes down to the Death Blossom from Big Wally, and Bordy falls to Plankton. No one on the away team's getting back in time at this point. And that's going to be the attack round ending before they've even reached point B.
I was going to say the best chance they had of still holding that point was for Nubkey to use Primal Rage there, but he got flattened by that Earth Shatter.
Yeah, that Earth
Shatter
Shatter from
to really capitalize on it. Just
Yeah, good stuff coming out of Toronto, despite that very rocky start. And I think that they've got to feel pretty good about where they managed to stop that, because that Doomfist really threw them off in the beginning.
Honestly, the Doomfists got a lot of good early picks, and I was, happy to see some really solid play out of him, because Doomfist isn't always the easiest character to get effectiveness out of.
Yeah,
but they really, Toronto looked really to crumble due to the just straight aggression.
Yeah, and I don't think they were expecting Doomfist to fly in as quickly as they did, because that opening pick just came out of nowhere. There was really no time to react to that.
All right. So with 30 seconds, we can look, and I doubt these are going to be the final choices.
Mm-hmm. Although
it would actually be very interesting to see if Toronto's going to stick with a Sombra pick.
Yeah. Honestly, the Sombra, you can definitely do some work. You can go around, hack the Reinhardt shield, do some damage on that. And there are health packs, scattered pretty liberally throughout this map. So if you try and swing and take the high ground, you can fall back down onto that one. You've got one close to the choke that you can deny the enemy team. Mm-hmm. But it looks like Lee Captain is going to be on that Pharah, which honestly I like a lot better despite the soldier pick out of Bordy. Alright, so... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think with the... You can definitely get, at least for this first point, exactly that. Knock someone off with
Quasar was curiously far away from his main tank for most of that fight. It just let Lee Captain get a lot of damage onto that Reinhardt shield. And the pick onto Bordy is going to open things up, because now there's really nothing that can attack that Pharah directly, but still, Quasar and Klein come up with kills. But Lee Captain, pretty much uncontested at this point, has picked off the entire back line of the away team. And he gets the kill onto Griff. So despite the fact that the rest of his team kind of seems to be struggling at the choke, he's getting it done. He's doing the work. And he and Wally swing forward to deny the reinforcements coming in here. And there goes Bordy once again, forcing the res out of Daprocoat. The Squid Squad doesn't manage to keep Quasar away, but he comes in, and the rest of the team is so far behind that Quasar is going to get focused and demech'd very quickly. Rocket Barrage coming out from Lee Captain takes out the DPS duo of the away team, and really, there's not much you have to do other than get those kills. That was a pretty clean engagement coming out of Squid Squad.
You know, one thing that I will always say for Squid Squad is the fact that their coordination always manages me. They do a very good job with focus firing, and once Lee Captain knew that D.Va was down, he had a really easy 3-piece with a barrage.
Yeah, and that barrage, you know, they did a very good job of not committing a lot to it. They really only committed the barrage to that. And if you can win that fight and get the team wipe, only needing to drop one ult to it, you've got to feel good about your chances. And just like that, Toronto is diving back onto the high ground, forcing the Valkyrie out of Daprocoat, but Chabones falls. Bordy gets the kills onto Fanny Zhao and Lee Captain, and Plankton's not really able to protect his team with that defense matrix. That's going to force Toronto back into spawn, and the away team now has a chance to breathe, stabilize, and sort of evaluate what's gone wrong. Now, they seem to really recognize the threat coming out of Lee Captain, because Griff is on that McCree. You've got the double hit scan coming out to really try and punish that Pharah. High ground positioning from the away team.
Right.
Lee Captain's getting some shots, but they're being eaten by Quasar. But Toronto's advancing a little bit. Bomb coming out from Quasar. It's in a pretty nice position, but it doesn't get anything. Bomb, however, from Plankton, that's gonna make some money, getting Griff and Daprocoat. But Nubkey is not going to let his team go completely quietly into that good night, getting the kill onto Fanny Zhao. But despite their biggest heal source being gone, the Squid Squad doesn't look deterred. They get the kill onto Nubkey, and they've swung forward. There's really no opposition here, and the away team is scrambling in to try and contest the point. Nubkey touches it. The barrage from Lee Captain doesn't get anything aside from the DMech on Quasar, but Griff gets absolutely nothing with that Deadeye. Toronto, the kill feed is entirely blue here. This is, you know, as clean as an engagement as you can really want from Toronto. The focus fire picking off away team member after away team member. I wish I had a team name for them so I can just stop stumbling over words. But that is going to be the win for Toronto with a pretty convincing time. They looked rock solid after that initial uneasiness.
You know, there was a moment toward the end of that where Nuki had focused down both supports before, and it had been probably a good 5 or 6 seconds before Lee Captain uses a concussion to go over and save them. That could have been a potentially serious problem, but he ends up getting focused down between Lee Captain and Plankton, and the rest of the take looks effortless.
I hear you guys talking to me about health bars, by the way. I'm just not sure how to do that because I never really use observer mode before this.
Well, let me
yeah, if anyone can tell me in this Bush League stream how to do that. Okay, looks like the next map is going to be Nepal. And we're seeing a switch coming out of the away team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're seeing Cobalt. Yeah, it looks like Nubkey has dropped out and we have Cobalt now. Okay, spectator controls. Thank you very much. I apologize. There is only...
Did they say how to get the health bars back?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Apologize about that, guys. This is, yeah, just genuinely was not sure about how to do that. skimming through the options.
Oh, come on. What is this?
What's going on?
Nothing.
The texture at the top of the point on New Bonnie. What map are we on? Nepal. That's it. Looks kind of weird. Looks like a texture bug.
It could be.
Yeah.
Apparently, there have been a lot of things breaking about the game recently.
Really? What have you heard?
Nothing. Just one of my friends was telling me that apparently there's been some issue with the Deadeye recently.
Okay. All right, let's talk comps. Fairly, I guess, fairly standard comp coming out of the enemy team. Still nameless.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense though. Cobalt on the Reinhardt. Quasar looked pretty good on that Zarya.
Bless you. One thing that, bless you again, I am very excited to see is we get to see Lee Captain on the McCree. I was a little disappointed to not see something out of that last match.
Yeah, and right away it's paying dividends because Dappercoat goes down to Lee Captain's McCree. Plankton gets Quasar, and even though Chad Bones falls, Fanny's there with the res. They've only had one casualty throughout that, so they don't really feel any pressure. They can take the first point without really too much trouble. And Lee Captain punishes Griff. That's going to stagger the attack for a bit. God. Of course, of course it's happening now when we're doing this live that I'm just sneezing and just being terrible.
Fine.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so we're still, looks like Bordy on the Soldier is trying to get Big Wally, but can't really get too much done. Plankton, however, is going to get the pick on Dappercoat again, and losing that Mercy is going to cost you big time, especially when you get funneled into that relatively small area where those Pharah rockets and the cleave damage from the Winston can get a lot of damage done. And though Cobalt gets some work done with the hammer, he's, one man against the tide here.
Now, just to look, let's look at the advantage that Squid Squad has. It's about as strong as you can probably get.
You've got 5 ults, and you're going to have that last support ult, that sound barrier from Ichan, coming in during the next fight for sure.
Midway through the next fight.
Yeah. The only thing
is, as opposed, like Klein is close to his sound barrier, but Dappercoat's not.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when you're not running a Reinhardt, you've got a relatively limited amount of stuff to block that Earth Shatter, but it doesn't really matter when Big Wally and Lee Captain are in position with their ultimates to just kill your entire team before anyone can capitalize on it. The Earth Shatter wasn't bad, it's just the ults coming out of Squid Squad were that much better.
Substantially. One thing that I guess could be a small point of criticism is, once again, I don't think Lee Captain necessarily needed to burn that Deadeye there, but he gets it back fast enough that it shouldn't.
Yeah, but it does ensure a much cleaner engagement. There's no, enemies left living. Bomb comes out from Plankton, doesn't really get anything with it, but Griff kills him before he can remech. That could potentially be big, because Bordy's popping out that tack visor, but Chap isn't going to give him an opportunity to get anything done with it. He's just going to kill him straight out. Plankton gets brought up, and the tack visor, Grav Surge comes out from Quasar, getting both Lee Captain and Big Wally. Those are your two biggest sources of damage, and now things are looking a lot rockier for the Squid Squad, though Plankton does get the kill onto Klein. So, they're not losing this completely here. Chabbins falls last, and that's a problem. That kill came much later than the others, so despite the fact that he managed to delay the flip from coming through for a little while, it did desync Toronto. It's giving some time for the away team to stabilize and build up that ult percentage. It's taking some time away. So, Big Wally's coming over the top. He does have that barrage, so the away team has to be really careful about that. If he comes in and catches them unaware, that could be game right there, especially because you're going to lose Dappercoat. There's no reses coming through now. This is, the fight to win for Toronto. Bordy, however, gets the D-Mech onto Plankton, so if he can build up that offensive ult, but he's not going to, the Big Wally may fall, but the Deadeye from Lee Captain, Bordy gets dropped by Lee Captain as well after the Deadeye. Big Wally's back up. Dappercoat comes in with the reses onto Cobalt and Klein, trying to stall out, trying to buy the away team some opportunities to get back in here, but the beat comes out from Ichan, keeping Toronto relatively healthy. The beat comes out from Klein. Man, I am just so sloppy today. But Chabones gets Griff, Bordy, Big Wally drops Quasar, and despite the fact that Quasar gets off that Graviton Surge,
they can do nothing with it.
They can do nothing with it. Everyone's dead. There's no one to even come remotely close to the point.
I think it was solid play from Squid Squad overall. One thing that I'd like to see out of the enemy team is I feel like Dappercoat held on to his Valkyrie for a bit too long. I think he could have used that at the beginning of that last retake to help make sure less teammates died.
Is he's getting picked. He's the Squid Squad is able to find those kills on him. They've gotten him a couple times.
As we've seen, they generally do a very good job of focus firing down main supports. Lee Captain's bullets are basically magnetized to a Mercy's face.
Pretty much. Like, your days are numbered if your team isn't going to kind of watch out for you. And this is interesting coming out of the away team. We saw a little bit of it on the last map, but we're seeing the Roadhog coming out instead of a Reinhardt or a Winston. And Quasar is staying on that Zarya.
You know, that is interesting to see. I was going to say Cobalt did a reasonable job as a Roadhog last round, and furthermore, Quasar's done a very good job of keeping him alive with proper shielding and good healing from his supports.
Yeah, and honestly, like, this engagement seems to be working out pretty well for them because they get that early kill onto Lee Captain, force the res out of Fanny Zhao, and now the kills are starting to come through for the away team. They've managed to get the picks they need to turn the tide of this fight. Cobalt, on that Roadhog especially, is just killing people left and right. And Chabones and Plankton, that is not a good idea. They come in on their own. There's no support or anything. Chabones falls, and that desync is going to buy some time for that win percentage to tick up for the away team.
Generally speaking, while I'm supportive of the things that Toronto have done, I really do think that they should maybe consider switching over. One, have Plankton switch over to Azaria to stop some of that hook value that they can get. And two, that take from Chabones just felt so
and Cobalt hooks Ichan. There's a support gone immediately, and while Big Wally does return the favor onto Klein, you know what? There's no but there. This just seems to be working out for Toronto. However, that attack visor comes out from Bordy, dropping Big Wally, and and Plankton is forced out of mech, manages to remech, but Toronto
I feel like that nuke there was kind of unnecessary.
Well, he got demeched. It was to remech before the enemy team came back in. But ultimately, I'm not going to complain about that too much. The problem here, however, is the away team is already back on that point, and I think we're still missing someone. Lee Captain's hiding on that side. He's got the Death Blossom ready to go. However, he's been spotted. The ambush, the sort of leap and pounce that Reaper is so good for, has been countered, and Chabones dives in really deep and is immediately focused down by Quasar. That was too much too quickly, but Lee Captain comes out with that Death Blossom. He doesn't get anything done with it thanks to that beat drop from Klein, but Griff gets an absolutely huge pulse bomb, taking out Fanny Zhao, Big Wally, and Plankton's mech. That could potentially be all the away team needs to get this point back in their favor after Toronto builds up to the 51% mark.
I think between Griff and an incredible Graviton Surge by Quasar, that was the thing to basically to swing a losing fight.
That was what they needed, because they were behind.
They were roughly 2 kills behind, and looked like they were off. Graviton looked almost like...
Chabones dives in again, but his entire team is kind of away from him, except for... never mind. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Klein with the huge boop, getting Lee Captain and Ichan. And despite the fact that fight looks, pretty damn good if you're Toronto, you're going to bleed for it. Griff is left alone, but against an angry monkey and Big Wally, I'm not sure what you can get done with it. Especially when the reinforcements start streaming back in from the Squid Squad, because now they're all here. However, Chabones falls. Plankton is forced to use the mech, but isn't going to get anything for it. Lee Captain gets a pick onto Cobalt, and that's big. That's a large chunk of health that you don't have to worry about, and a large part of the pick power of the away team's composition. Res is coming out from Fanny Zhao and Dapper Code, and Ichan brings things back into Toronto's favor with the kill onto Griff. Lee Captain swinging away, chasing down Cobalt, trying to get those kills, as Griff is brought back up thanks to the Valkyrie res out of Dapper Code. Fanny Zhao has used their own Valkyrie, and Lee Captain comes in, wipes out the DPS of the away team, as Chabones takes out Dapper Code. The away team is jumping in, trying to commit, trying to keep this point contested, so that they don't just lose this right here. But Toronto gets it back at 99% in overtime.
Yeah, solid play. I think right now we might want the Cobalt changing off, especially with his basic hard counter in Lee Captain.
But here's the thing. You've got 4 ultimates here. You're about to have 5. This is not a bad position for them by any stretch, especially if Quasar can land a big grab and Cobalt can combo the whole hog into it. But Big Wally takes out Dapper Code immediately. That's huge. That's a huge part of the staying power of this team gone immediately, especially when Bordy goes down quickly afterwards as well. The fight moves inside as Chabones is just swinging away, getting another kill onto Clyde, and this push is not going anywhere but back to spawn for the away team.
That was an incredibly early and aggressive...
Regrouping quickly, going up the gut, trying to get that contest, but Cobalt picks Lee Captain. That is one of the big offensive threats. Graviton Surge and the whole hog and the pulse bomb get so much work done, and though Plankton can get the pick onto Cobalt, it's just one. It's just one, and Fanny Zhao can only bring Big Wally back to the fight. Lee Captain gets back, but the Toronto Squid Squad has lost so many people. Can they hang on long enough for the reinforcements to come in? And they can. Plankton gets the kill onto Dapper Code once again, but Bordy and Griff get the D-Mech onto Plankton. That's going to give them a lot of room to work. Plankton drops Quasar, which, once again, this fight is swinging back and forth. There's no concrete winner here. Plankton almost gets back into that mech before the kill comes in from Griff, only to for Fanny Zhao to immediately rest him. Lee Captain... God, I lost track of that completely. There was so much going on there.
Overall, I think they did a solid job stalling that fight out long enough for the rest of the team to come in and strengthen their numbers.
Yeah.
I think that fight got incredibly chaotic and scrappy at the end.
It did.
But overall, Toronto Squid Scouts managed to pull that out.
Yeah, and we do see them being a little rockier on these King of the Hill maps, but they're looking pretty solid.
I'd like to see them play a hybrid map. I'd like to see maybe a little more of maybe do Nubani, possibly.
Yeah, Nubani could be a lot of fun. They did very well on it last time. They looked absolutely killer on attack. And we have a pause coming through because it looks like the away team is going to be trying to swap out a sub here. Because apparently Dapper Coat is not a Mercy player. Which could explain the positioning issues that kept, them out of things for their team.
Got another coming in.
Yeah, we've got Stickman.
Stickman. And from the look of it, they are most definitely a Mercy player with 145 hours.
Okay, yeah,
I might throw up.
That will do.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how the enemy team does with, especially now, like a dedicated support.
Yeah, because Dapper Coat was getting picked a fair bit, not able to get those reses, not able to keep their team alive in the same way that Fanny Zhao was, because Fanny Zhao, her positioning and movement is pretty damn strong. You don't see her get picked all that often. And when you have that Mercy alive, when you can have that res coming out reliably as well as that healing, you're going to have a much more survivable team. Right. Looks like we might see Bordy back on that Doomfist.
I am not sure if we're going to be continuing with this map because Toronto won in a 2-0 sweep, but they might still play out
Never. We're
this
going into a new
map.
map. We're going into a new map.
Okay, okay. All right, there we go, guys. Minor miscommunication.
Yep, and it is the away team's pick. Cobalt taking things a little spicy.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the players shoot the breeze a little,
Yeah,
have some fun.
it is. It is. It's nice to see it. Some sportsmanship going on here, you know?
Of course, everything nice and civil.
Mhm.
Oh, we're switching over to Hollywood.
Okay, this.
A hybrid map,
could
just
be
as
fun.
I had been wanting. It'll be interesting to see how Toronto, as well as the enemy.
Or no. Looks like we might be swapping back over to Junkertown. Okay, Junkertown.
All right.
This could be
Map
fun.
that- This is a map that I admittedly know less of.
Well, it's
having
very
only
new.
Played it once or twice. That's fair.
However, pretty early on, especially, you know, the map is pretty wide open. There's a nice long line of sight for someone to break out, a McCree or a Widowmaker. You know, you long-range hit scan can do a lot on the first 2 points of Junkertown.
It'll be really interesting to someone if someone brings out that Widowmaker.
I hope so. I like, as much as I think we're definitely going to see Lee Captain on the McCree in this case. Or I'd be surprised if he wasn't sticking to that pick.
I would hope, but at the same time, I'd actually like to see him if they start to break out that Widow, trying to get a good early pick or two.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Mercy can't just res away.
Klein is playing with my heart.
Why? What was he on?
He was on the Bastion for a minute there.
Oh, please do it.
Mm-hmm. We're not gonna see it. We don't have that kind of luck.
I wish, but sadly not.
We got it last time. We got
true,
a
and
cameo
honestly-
from El Presidente.
And again, I really do have to give props to Core Alpha. That was not just a desperation strat. They clearly had a plan with it.
Oh
and it
yeah, no,
succeeded.
it was something they had practiced and they had sitting in their back pocket, just ready to go whenever they wanted it. And all right, this is going to be fun. I really hope this actually kind of happens because it looks like they're teasing setting up that Torb turret on the payload with the please.
Please don't play with my heart.
It's not going to happen.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not gonna get
I
my
hope
hopes
it
up.
does. Although one thing that is happening is Griff. Never mind.
No,
My
I was
words.
just looking over to see, and I see that they're still sitting in spawn. So
Okay.
they were
I really
considering
thought
it.
that there was going to be a Symmetra out of that. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to see Griff back on that Tracer. I thought he did a really good job on
Yeah.
it. And not just with, timings on his pulse bomb, but his positioning.
Yeah, positioning
you know-
mechanically looked pretty solid.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That is something that Toronto definitely does not have. They seem to lack
this-
a...
Oh,
It's
buddy!
happening.
We have been blessed. Ishan the Widow, our Lord and Savior Bastion on the point, sitting behind the double shield comp. But man, the firepower being laid down by Cobalt, by Quasar on the Orisa, is chewing through those shields, but not quickly enough. Lee Captain gets the kill onto Quasar, forcing the res out of Stickman, but Griff comes in and gets the kill onto Big Wally. Oh my god. This is... Lee Captain already has
the
his
tank
ult!
out.
The
Oh,
tank is
buddy,
already
that's
out!
incredible.
He's not getting too much done with it, but my god if he's not putting pressure down. However, Cobalt gets the pick onto Fanny Zhao. This could potentially complicate things, but Lee Captain's just going to kill him dead. Before finally dying. Big Wally gets the kill onto Quasar, doesn't get anything with the Deadeye, and Cobalt drops him. The numbers now favor the away team, and Toronto is kind of stumbling here. These last few people on the point are being forced back, and Chabones dies very late. That's going to desync, and that's going to cost some time as they regroup and push with their full squad. Great shield from Plankton, keeping Fanny Zhao alive, and ooh, losing Lee Captain is going to hurt. That's going to cost them some time.
I'd be surprised. Do you think they end up sticking on the Bastion after the Prez comes out?
Yeah, looks like Lee Captain's going to stick on it for at least a little while longer. we're seeing some ults come out for the away team here. Ooh, Griff gets dropped, meaning that tire isn't going to be used to dislodge that Bastion anytime soon. And the tank mode is already back up. Griff gets rezzed, but put right back into the ground. And the...
it looks like...
Yeah, despite the Transcendence coming out from Klein, that damage-boosted Bastion is just going to get those kills. Quasar drops them, but Fanny brings Lee Captain right back up. Stickman and Klein fall, Quasar falls, and the away team, they're going to need to find an answer to this Bastion very, very quickly.
I am amazed that okay, good. So Quasar switches over to Zarya, which is good. Never mind to the Diva, as I was about to say. That's really what I think
the Diva
is necessary to come out of this.
Using the defense matrix, you can get in close. You can negate some of that Bastion damage from key targets who actually can hurt Bastion. We've got Griff sort of getting some spam in from the high corner. Cobalt looking for that flank. But as the payload rolls forward, he's left out in the open. But Lee Captain is going to get taken out with that tire from Griff. Ichan gets the payback, but Stickman has the res. And it looks like Toronto isn't going to try to push the issue too much at this point. They're going to fall back, bide their time. Lee Captain's back up.
I think with that kill, they're probably going to be backing.
Yeah. The away team dives in deep, continues piling on the kills. Lee Captain gets Cobalt. That's nice. That takes away some of the forward positioning strength that this team has. But Bordy is going to take out Chabones, meaning the away team can fall back, set up, and they don't, without the cover from that Reinhardt, they're not going to have too much immediate pressure thrown at them. In the meantime,
I was going to say, the ults for Toronto are coming back up. They're definitely at a strong ult advantage over their enemy team.
Yeah, Lee Captain's about to have the tank yet again, and Chabon is sitting on that Earth Shatter, so you can expect to see, as soon as that collapse comes in, Chabon's is going to punish because there's nothing there to block that Earth Shatter. And, yeah, Lee Captain pops his ult as well. Stickman, Cobalt, everyone's going down. Quasar's coming in to try and get some work done, and does get that kill onto Big Wally, but they're going to get demeched. There's not much for them to really accomplish there, and Griff does get the kill onto Chabones, which well played by them, going in alone against a Reinhardt and the Bastion and coming up with a kill, but it's not going to buy more than a second here.
I think that Big Wally actually did a very good job of stalling out that Diva. Once he got her out of mech, he waited a good 6-7 seconds before flashbanging and finishing her, just joining the enemy's retake as much as possible.
Yeah, get that stagger, deny that time to regroup, and the away team is taking the high ground here. Looking for picks, that Roadhog to try and yank people in while the rest of the team can collapse on them and just get the pick immediately, because you can't, and he gets that hook, he gets what he's looking for and finds Lee Captain. Plankton may find Griff, but it looks like they're going to sort of be able to push Toronto back, but Ichan gets separated. Good work from Fanny Zhao keeping them alive. That's some good awareness. And Chabones dives in deep and gets Stickman. Cobalt falls as well to Big Wally. Griff gets the kill onto Plankton, but Fanny Zhao hasn't been pressured too much. They have that res and can bring it back and can, bring Plankton back in and equalize the fight. Now Valkyrie is forced out when Chabones falls, though. And Big Wally takes out Bordy.
One thing that I will say right now is the fact that, and this is a good thing, I haven't seen Stickman much in the kill.
Yeah, Stickman's doing a much better job staying alive. But all that damage coming out from Lee Captain, there's not much you can really do to keep your team alive without the barriers and the Diva to cover them. And I think, Chabones laying down that Earth Shatter, but Griff looks to have brought his team back into this with 2 kills into the back, taking out Fanny Zhao, Ichan, and Lee Captain. And Chabones goes down as well. Plankton is demeched, and yeah, here comes the bullying. Left there by the Roadhog until they have permission to die. Staggering out the Diva, whittling away some of that time bank that Toronto has. And now they're coming back in. Now we're seeing Big Wally on that Junkrat. Lee Captain on the Soldier. Looks like they've realized the novelty of this comp is kind of worn off. The enemy team has an answer for it. And now they're coming back in. Quasar gets trapped. Big Wally takes out Bordy, forcing the res out of Stickman, and that's one less tool in the war chest of the away team. But Bordy, is gonna get some work done for his team. The attack visors taking out Fanny Zhao does some damage to Chabons and League Captain, allowing Klein and Cobalt to pick up the kills, and Toronto is going to be forced to reset again.
The away team has definitely done a solid job of stabilizing out their fight.
Ooh, they get that pick onto Ichan way late.
Where even was he?
She.
Oh, she. My bad. But I mean, still, like, where was she to be so far out to be picked by?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was definitely out of position here. Either that or Bordy just went really ballsy. I didn't quite see what happened there.
No, I mean, when I saw him, he was still on this rotating platform.
Oh,
so...
bomb coming out from Plankton. Normally, we can expect that to get a lot, but it's Quasar making money with the kill onto Chabones, leaving things open for Cobalt to get another kill. Fanny Zhao is forced to pop the Valkyrie, bringing up Chabones and Ichan. Chabones is getting close to that Earth Shatter. Lee Captain has the Tac Visor, and we know what they can do with it. However, they need a position here. Griff takes out Ichan. Yeah, the away team has the high ground, and they're really using that to good advantage. Lee Captain gets the kill onto Stickman, but the beat drop is going to stop them from. The beat drop, however, is going to stop them from getting too much more than that, and it looks like Toronto just kind of lost track of time. They didn't get back to the point in time before that overtime expired. So that
I was just going to say, I think that whilst Toronto did a solid job overall, I think they got a little too bullheaded when it came to trying to make that Bastion.
Yeah, if they had swapped off earlier, in that third point, it might have been a little better for them. But it did a great job getting them through points A and B.
That is undeniably true.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I was impressed with it. I thought that was just going to be a joke, but they really managed to make it work out of, I mean, really just a standard sit on the point Bastion, if I could even call that a strat.
Yeah, I like to call it the Limburger maneuver because you have the cheese sitting on the shield behind the German cheese Limburger.
Yeah, I like it.
In before roasted by Twitch chat.
I'm not looking. I'm just getting shoot apart 24/7.
Yeah. All right. So we are seeing Plankton staying on that Diva, Chabone staying on that Reinhardt. Wally is on the Junkrat, and Lee Captain is on the Soldier.
All of this seems fairly normal for Toronto. One thing that has continued to surprise me is the fact that Cobalt really wants to make this Roadhog work. Now, I'm not going to make it sound like he hasn't, but I also think that maybe he could have made other picks earlier in the first defense to make sure that the Bastion is not getting as far as
and we're going to pause. Technical issue on the side of Toronto. So while we're doing that, I think Cobalt is definitely pretty solid on that Roadhog. But the thing is, playing that Roadhog does carry a bit of risk, because while you can get those picks from the enemy team by hooking a player into the mass of your team where you can just collapse and get the kill, you're also not really running any barriers. That Earth Shadow from Chabones has nothing to run into if he's in a good position. If he can line people up, he's going to get them. Meanwhile, you've got, Lee Captain. Well, when Lee Captain was on that Bastion, you only had the Diva to block, and as soon as that defense matrix wore off, there was nothing between you and that Bastion, and that Reinhardt shield may fall very quickly, but it's an extra second or two to get to cover, so you just don't get poked full of holes.
What's going on?
Yeah, we're resetting here.
Alright, it looks like we might be getting in. Apologize to you guys for technical difficulties.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some sound issues for Toronto, so they're trying to get some stuff sorted out. Try turning up the volume.
Savage.
Same thing's coming out, and I will say, Bordy's been impressive, and I can't wait to see what he can do on that Widowmaker.
Looks like some tongue-in-cheek banter between the enemy teams.
Did you all try?
Bastion has damaged your team's hearing.
You gotta have ear pro when you're working with a Gatling gun.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Alright, it looks like things are underway. We're case from all teams that was wrong has been fixed.
Yep.
And we got 40 seconds between now and Bedlam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so looks like Cobalt is going to be sticking on that Roadhog, so we'll see how they can make that work.
Griff back on the Tracer. This is something that I personally fully support. Stickman proving to be in spades better than, who was it, Dappercoat, and I mean that no offense to him, but Stickman has impressed me.
And Stickman has done a very good job of staying alive and avoiding, getting picked off early. Lee Captain, that is a very ballsy move, and you might not get quite back into position by the time the enemy's out the door.
Well, looks like everything is in place as the enemy teams hit each other.
Enemy teams, the away team is swinging out. Bordy on that Widow, pummeling the Rhine Shield with help from Cobalt, and that is the advantage of having that Roadhog. You can pound through the Rhine Shield very quickly and hook him down onto the low ground like that, but Chabones manages to use that charge to get away. Disaster averted for the moment. But that shield is still pretty weak. Plankton gets hooked, gets some damage, but again is able to kite back before they can really be punished. Griff working that high ground, raining shots into the back of Chabones, who is dropped by Bordy. Fanny Zhao brings up Chabones, and the payload is stalled for just a second here, but Griff gets the kill onto Big Wally. Quasar and Griff are kind of just working on the backside of this Toronto team, and the Pulse Bomb from Griff is going to knock out Plankton. Chabones falls to Quasar, and Toronto's defense is kind of fallen apart. Ian Fanny kiting back. At this point, just, get your spam in, set up for point B. But it looks like they might be going for it. Cobalt using that whole hog on the low ground. Cobalt is not going to get much done with that whole hog, but Griff is going to make up for it. Getting the kills onto Big Wally and Chabones. Plankton brings up Wally, who immediately gets a kill onto Quasar. Klein falls, but Stickman has the Valkyrie. Stickman can get both members of his team back up a lot more quickly than Fanny Zhao can at this point. Big Wally gets rezzed again, but he and Lee Captain are getting cut off. Fanny Zhao is trying desperately to keep Chabones alive, buy time, with Ichan still sort of kiting around on the point, but now it's just Ichan, and Bordy is going to end her life. We see Big Wally switching off now onto the Reaper.
That is interesting. If anything, I would say I'd like to
see... Ooh! Good headshot from Bordy onto Lee Captain. That's going to soften up the defensive positioning a bit.
I'd like to see Lee Captain swap over to a McCree right now, but it seems to be sticking with the Soldier. They really don't have a ton to handle Griff at the moment.
No, they don't. Nor do they really have much to... Nor do they really have much to sort of help deal with Cobalt. But Chabones has that Earth Shatter. Chabones Earth Shatters, dropping Cobalt and Klein. Cobalt is pounded down. Klein is down as well. Stickman gets the res onto Cobalt, but they're still down a man. They're still down a man on this point, and Cobalt is in the middle of this entire Squid Squad lineup. There's pops the whole hog. Quasar gets the Diva Bomb kill onto Ichan, who's going to be resed by Fanny Zhao, and Toronto is going to stabilize here. And this is where things will start to be a little tricky for the away team. Because even though Bordy's on the Soldier, he's giving up the Ghost on that Widowmaker, but you have the Death Blossom from Wally. You have the Diva Bomb from Plankton, Tac Visor, Lee Captain, and both support ults. This is going to be a very hard defense to break, especially if Big Wally gets that opening pick onto Griff like that. Stickman falls. That's big. Okay. Yeah, this
I
is
was
a
going to say, this is big enough that both Lucios end up committing
it's a
worlds.
this is a very strange engagement coming out of the away team. They've went very spread out and weren't really able to support each other. So Toronto could just kind of collapse on them in 2s and 3s and pick them apart.
The ult advantage is still definitely...
Yeah, Toronto didn't have to commit anything there except for the beat drop.
And even then, I don't really feel like that was necessary.
Toronto...
They're still doing an easy job mopping up the...
Toronto swings in early with that kill onto Quasar, and that's gonna delay things. Plankton gets pulled, but once again, gets away before any real damage can be done. So the strength of this Roadhog comp, the ability to pick people in, collapse, and get that kill, doesn't seem to... That promise isn't really being fulfilled here. Okay.
They try to change that slightly by
putting...
Which I really don't think is the answer here. I think Cobalt needs to switch off to a more reliable tank.
Yeah, I think...
Right now, there's nothing to stop...
especially... Yeah, because Big Wally's coming in. He's coming in that back line. Klein rotates. He sees him coming. Earth Shatter from Chabones, and you're not even going to really need the Death Blossom. Chabones, great job diving away that Diva Bomb, pinning it into the corner where it's not going to get anything done. And once again, minimal ult commitment from Toronto. I don't even think that Visor from Lee Captain was strictly necessary, but it helped secure things. Ichan got picked off, though. So that's going to force the res out of Fanny Zhao, which means they can't bring Wally back up into the fight immediately. Stickman brings Griff back into the fight, and Plankton is forced to use the bomb to remech. We've got a Tire coming out. Tire coming out from Griff, swinging around, trying to get those kills onto the Toronto team, but Lee Captain gets the kill onto the Tire. It's not going to do much, but it is going to force them out of position. Plankton is dropped and rezzed, but Chabones falls shortly afterwards. Big Wally dropped by Klein and Cobalt. Fanny Zhao uses the Valkyrie to try and bring her team back into the fight, and Wally does get a kill onto Klein, but Bordy still has the tack visor. He takes out Fanny Zhao. Klein is brought back up. Wally falls. Ichan falls. Bordy does fall to Plankton, but Plankton, you're not going to get much done in that position. I think that was an overcommitment. Yeah.
Speaking of overcommitments, Lee Captain ends up committing his attack visor there to pick up really one person before getting completely focused out.
And Chabones is left completely alone as well. Gets thrown around. Kill is going to be staggered. Toronto's really trying to make this work, though. Wally gets the kills onto Bordy and Klein, and suddenly things aren't looking too terrible. But Chabones and Fanny Zhao do fall, and Griff, good night, sweet prince. That's going to be all you need to get through this point.
Now, the only thing that I can say in Toronto's defense is the fact that the away team ended up committing basically every ult they had.
Yeah, if they hadn't been forced to commit as many ults to get the work done, this would have been kind of disastrous for Toronto because they committed pretty much everything.
If they had saved basically one ult right now, the away team, they could have snowballed the fight. But right now, they are actually on fairly even ground.
Yeah, and Chabones has that Earth Shatter. Once again, there's no counter to that Earth Shatter. The team here is mostly landlocked from the away team. Quasar may jump up and get the D-Mech on Plankton, but Chabones gets hooked, pulled into position. The away team is lining up. Chabones got to be looking for it, and he finds that big Earth Shatter, knocking down a lot of people. Klein forced, Bordy falls, and Stickman is forced to bring out the Valkyrie to res their team back into the fight. And the away team somehow has stabilized off the back of this, getting Big Wally Chabones and Fanny Zhao. That's beautiful. That's a lot better than I was expecting from that engagement, starting off so badly for them.
As it looks like Toronto is regrouping now as best they can. Finish out just hit Valkyrie ult. And
Lee Captain's got that tack visor. We've got the ult coming out from Big Wally. So that defense matrix on Quasar is going to be pivotal for the next fight. Tower coming out from Griff. This could be big. Swinging around. Coming in for Lee Captain. But no! And we have a bit of a C9 there, don't we?
That's brutal.
Yeah.
To see it.
Yeah, you do, because they were looking good, and I'm not sure whether or not they made it further than Toronto did. It was right about that point.
I'm actually genuinely not sure.
Yeah, we do have the stereo C9s coming in, which how often do you see that?
Oh, man. I wonder who we call the winner at the end of that.
I don't know. I'm
Kind of hard to say given the technical difficulties that kind of
the technical
screwed up the.
difficulties resetting the map.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of hard to necessarily say who won that, especially given how bloody close it was.
It was.
Now we move over to King's Row.
It was.
Hopefully
Although
we'll see more of that
yeah,
pretty stellar widow work out of Bordy.
yeah, Bordy was looking very good, but part of me wants to know if because they brought out the Bastion on Junkertown, if the Squid Squad is going to break out that play from Core Alpha's book from last week, if we're going to see that double Bastion shield comp, or if they think that that ship has sailed when they used it on the last map.
It's going to be interesting to see. Everyone's readying up right now, so we should be getting into the game any second.
Here we go. Here we go. On to King's Row. The judgmental silence.
All right, let's look at.
All right, Plankton's on the Orisa. Plankton's on the Orisa.
They're definitely flirting with you.
Oh.
Now then.
Although, how much of this is them listening to us, knowing that we want it, that we needs the precious.
I guess all I can say is hopefully that's not the case. They should be focusing on their games right now, listening to
two idiots.
Yeah, listening to two idiots talk about video games.
But so far,
looks like each might stick with the widow. To try and get
they broke it out on the first point of Junkertown, so we know that it's in her wheelhouse.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. And now we see Cobalt on a more traditional tank here, which I think is very smart for this point, because if the Bastion's coming out, if that Widow's coming out, and you don't have something to absorb that punishment, your team is going to suffer. Because already, having the Widowmaker coming out from each end, it forces you to play differently. You've got to take more cautious positions. You've got to be careful not to stick your head out too far, or you could lose it.
I think everything that... Yeah, really, Cobalt and the Runner is the only thing to stop what's going to force them to play defensively. A Widow's going to force you to keep your head down, and Lee Captain on that Bastion.
Each end swaps off the Widow and onto the Lucio, but it looks like otherwise we're going to be sticking it, and I like the Lucio here. It lets Toronto speed boost through and take up the positions they need. Lee Captain's falling back while the rest of the team is pushing forward. But here's the thing. Lee Captain's going to be sticking his head out alone, and Griff is in position to punish. Big Wally gets the kill onto Bordy, and it looks like Toronto is just going to be rolling with it. They're going to be taking that high ground position, kind of rotating around, keeping the away team from really setting up that static defense that's going to be strong for them. And it looks like taking the high ground on both sides, making sure there's minimal cover that the enemy team can take without getting into the hotel. But Griff is going to come up. He's going to push deep and nearly get that kill onto Lee Captain. And right now, this is just a back-and-forth war. This is an artillery barrage, and Griff is the first casualty of this little trench warfare engagement here, as Lee Captain finally gets to set up. Incredible flank coming out from Big Wally. Cobalt falls, Bordy and Stickman go, and this is a pretty clean engagement for Toronto.
Cleanse is trying to do everything he can to stay alive.
But he's not going to stay alive too long, not against 6 guys, one of whom is a Bastion.
Very, very true. They're sitting on point. A lot of ults have been kind of pulled
we have
through. Quasar's one from his ult.
Quasar tried to contest, but now the payload gets rolling down this King's Row street, and the away team is kind of engaging down that Zarya. Though I will say, there is one thing they have going for them, which is they do have a superior ult economy. They're going to have all 6 very quickly, and now but the only thing is how they need to use those to whittle their way through all this shielding. Griff is your best answer for that, but you've got to think Toronto is aware of that. Oh, big grab coming in, big grab, and oh my god.
I don't know if we can legally show that.
That is so dirty. I feel like I need a shower. Like that was a magic trick. In suddenly a team turned into 6 corpses, and Big Wally gets rezzed by Fanny Zhao, which I'm not sure how much I like that, because if you come in to this away team squad and another person gets picked early on, but Lee Captain drops Cobalt, opening the door for Chavins to make money with that Earth Shatter. Stickman comes in and gets the reses onto Quasar and Cobalt, but Big Wally puts Quasar back into the grave. Bordy and Griff, though, they're looking to equalize things, taking out Plankton and Chavins, and suddenly there isn't a front line for this Toronto squad to answer the shield of Cobalt, and Griff is going to take out Big Wally, and once again Toronto's going to be forced back. And the Squid Squad is really behind on ultimates here.
It looks like Lee Captain finally might be, making the swap off.
Switching off onto the Soldier, which, good. I think that's a little more reasonable here. You can take more, sort of flanky positions, get more damage, and you're not going to be as easy to pick. That staticness of Bastion is not going to be a factor anymore.
I think overall,
all right, we've got Quasar up in the high ground, landing some micro rockets on the Squid Squad. Not really getting too much, but it helps to build up that ult charge. Chabones takes out the tire from Griff, meaning that they've got one less thing to worry about, and they're just a little closer to ultimate parity. Now, you would think that Griff would be able to do a lot of work through this choke, this narrow street that Junkrat can be so strong on, but it looks like it's going to be Cobalt who really brings his team into it, setting up that double kill Deadeye from Bordy. Griff picks Chabones, and once again, the Squid Squad is forced to, is pushed back into the sea, if you will.
Yeah, they're really forced away by just nothing more than solid positioning and good team play out of
solid
the
positioning, good team play, and they know exactly how much pressure to apply in these situations. They've not overcommitted on ultimates just yet, I don't think.
They have not looked nearly as hasty as.
But the economy's looking a lot better for the Squid Squad, because look at those ults coming up. You have 5. You're, it's not a crushing advantage, but it's one that can be made crushing if you use your ultimates correctly. However, Cobalt gets the kill onto Ichan, forcing Fanny Zhao to res. We see the Tac Visor coming out of Lee Captain, but nothing for it. Tire coming out from Griff gets caught on the door frame and loses a lot of time, but Big Wally's not going to make the same mistake. He's going to get the double kill onto Griff and Cobalt, forcing the Valkyrie and double res out of Stickman. But Quasar, that is absolutely nuts, getting the double kill.
That is monstrous, but one thing to notice is, actually, I won't say that necessarily too much, but the away team is completely out of enemy ultimate with Plankton nearing the Graviton.
They went in deep, but Chabones also committed the Earth Shatter to that fight, so that's another tool you don't have. Plankton, though, if they can land that Graviton and not get it eaten by Quasar's defense matrix,
Big Wally can necessarily get something really big out of that tire.
Yeah. Oh, bomb coming out from Quasar, and it does keep Chabones away, and it stops Toronto from really capitalizing completely on that fight. However, they do manage to take down Cobalt, but Stickman gets the res. Wally, however, is bringing his team right back into the fight with the Mine double kill onto Bordy and Griff, and Toronto just cleans up here. Now,
everything's showing up blue right as you need it to happen. Toronto can walk this into the second point, gaining another, I believe it's 2 minutes 30, and continuing on their offense. They still have solid ultimate advantage and a really strong take. I was worried that Plankton might have committed that Graviton unnecessarily.
Yeah, especially with that bomb from Quasar to really zone Chabones away from where they could do all that cleave damage with the hammer.
All I can say overall is I'm impressed.
Tire coming out from Big Wally, taking out Bordy and Griff once again. Stickman can only res 1, meaning you've got that 5v6 for a little while at least. Cobalt is getting very low, but Bordy! Oh, wow. This is just the duel of the Deadeyes here, isn't it? Fanny Zhao is
over here getting kills.
Yeah, Fanny Zhao is forced to res Plankton and lead captain, and the away team hasn't really been able to mount a defense yet. They haven't stopped the card from pushing. Lead captain pulls out the tack visor, but isn't going to get anything done with it. Kills get traded, but Fanny Zhao dies on the side of Squid Squad, whereas Stickman doesn't, meaning Griff can get brought back up, and suddenly Toronto's at too much of a disadvantage. They peel back, regroup, and here they are again.
They've got the Earth Shatter by Chavin, well as...
Yeah, Quasar's been demeched.
So there we go.
Earth Shatter coming out from Cobalt, dropping Chabons, but Big Wally. Yeah, Big Wally with the big kills. But here's the thing. Griff takes out Chabon and Ichan. Chabons may be back up, but he's not going to get too much out of that Earth Shatter. Only really Cobalt, or Griff. They push it in further, but Chabons is outnumbered. Okay, the away team is focusing their fire on Chabons instead of Fanny Zhao, and that, I think, is a mistake. Because Fanny Zhao gets to bring Big Wally back into the fight, and with Valkyrie, they're in a good position. The bomb comes out from Quasar and gets Big Wally, undoing that work, but Fanny Zhao can res right back thanks to that reduced cooldown from the Valkyrie.
I think they really need to be working down Stickman, who just hit Valkyrie, but never mind.
But C9.
Did it go through?
C9.
C9. I'm actually going to write it down. 68-39.
Yeah, 68-39 for the C9. Or should we call it the Immortals? Because I feel like they've almost become more famous for it, thanks to the performance they had from the Overwatch Contenders Season 1 NA section.
Have they been doing it more frequently, or were they just most recent?
They lost their game against Rogue because of a C9. It was 2-2.
That's brutal to see.
It was absolutely terrible. It hurt my soul, and it broke Golden Boy's brain. Just full on shouted, "What?" You know, like.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we're seeing more or less the same comp out of the Squid Squad that we saw on that last point. Which, hey, it worked out well for them. They did good work up until the end there.
I think I don't really necessarily call that a C9. I think it got forced off the point by overwhelming. They chose to back up rather than die and give nukes over time. They didn't have that luxury. It's going to be interesting to see whether Bordy stays on that Doomfist. That's something I would very much so like to see.
It's the same composition they broke out on Dorado, with Cobalt on the Winston. I think the idea here is to get Cobalt and Bordy to go in together. Bordy getting a lot of damage, Cobalt coming in, doing all that cleave. And it's something that is going to cause some chaos in the enemy lines. Meanwhile, Quasar, either dives in as needed or sticks back to protect the healers. But, going on to the Zarya. Meanwhile, Griff just kind of does what Griff does. Gets those Junkrat bombs in there. So, we'll see how they do with this.
Looks like we're sticking with the Doomfist, which I'm excited about. It's going to be interesting to see.
Bordy coming in hot and immediately getting the kill onto Big Wally, avenging his fallen teammate Griff. Stickman gets the res onto Griff, but Big Wally is too close to the enemy lines for Fanny Zhao to swing in and get the res in turn, at least not without a big risk of dying. So, this is looking good for the away team already. Bordy gets the kill onto Ichan. Griff drops Chabons with a little bit of help, and the Squid Squad has just melted away. Absolutely evaporated.
They really had no way to handle that. We had already seen from, what was it, Dorado.
Yeah,
they
back
really
on
don't
Dorado.
seem to handle that.
Yeah.
Which I think if you're the away team is definitely something that you should keep in the back of your hand.
Uh-huh. And Plankton gets the kill onto Griff, but once again, Stickman is there with the res. Bordy's in trouble, but the rest of his team is able to come up and protect. Lee Captain brings out the tire, but he brings out the attack visor. But here's the tire out of Griff, taking out Lee Captain and Plankton. Big Wally gets the kill onto Griff, but is that going to be enough for Toronto to stabilize? I'm not sure, because Bordy comes through and gets the kill onto Ichan. Big Wally gets Stickman, but Quasar returns the favor. The Squid
Still,
Squad.
I don't think that they have the backing off. Maybe behind the vent toward Plankton.
Oh,
they really can't handle.
We've got
this right now.
Grav coming out from Quasar to bring them in. There's no escape for you now. Your lives are forfeit, Squid Squad. As Chabon's Fanny Zhao, they're going down. Plankton gets the kill onto Cobalt, preventing them from extending in too far. And while Stickman does get the res, Lee Captain gets Stickman. If you're Toronto right now, this might be a chance for you to go in and stop the cap. This could be a chance to stabilize and stop that time bank from getting insurmountable.
Their only chance. Chabon is...
and they're coming in. Big Wally's up on the high ground with that Reaper. Looks like he's coming in for Cobalt. As the team dives in, we've got the Graviton coming out from Plankton. Big Wally's in place to get Klein. Bordy falls to Big Wally. Quasar takes out Plankton, but the kill feed is still coming up red. Griff takes out Chabons. Wally may get the kill into Cobalt, but he's the only one left. And that's the cap coming through for the away team with a solid 5 minutes and 22 seconds on the clock.
I think this is, with 5 minutes still on in the third section of this map, there's really no chance of Toronto being able to hold this out for that long, especially if Griff gets an early kill.
Yeah, but the thing is, Toronto has ult advantage, a pretty significant one. And Lee Captain gets the kill onto Griff, forcing the res out of Stickman, who Stickman is a lot further away from his Valkyrie than Fanny Zhao. That Earth Shatter comes in from Chabons, but once again, there's no one in position to really get anything done with it. Lee Captain does get Griff, though, so it's not, it's not completely worthless. Sound Barrier comes out from Klein as the away team looks for their opportunity to engage. Bordy's coming in, pummeling Chabon's back, buying a little room for his team to operate, but gets dropped by Plankton. Lee Captain drops Cobalt as well, and Bordy may be back into the fight, but Stickman is not. And it looks like the kill feed is slowly turning blue. This is the fight that Toronto wanted, and they did it without needing to overcommit on the ults. Plankton has the Graviton Surge. Chabons may have used his Earth Shatter, but everyone else is going to have their ult by the time the next fight rolls around. However,
Lee Captain's 6% away, and the thing with Chabon and Reinhardt is the fact that you gain ult advantage very fast so long as you're shooting that hammer. And as we've seen, Chabon's is a very brawly Reinhardt.
And Quasar is getting close to that Graviton Surge, though, so you have to expect they're going to be looking to combo with Bordy and Griff. You've got to look out for that if you're Toronto. Lee Captain pops the Deadeye, but Ichan falls to Griff. No one's going to end up dropping to that Deadeye. Bordy ends up killing Lee Captain. Graviton Surge comes out, and Bordy gets the kill onto Big Wally. Fanny Zhao brings up Lee Captain, but this is still not looking great for Toronto. However, the kill onto Klein may bring them back into this, as the away team looks to be peeling back as the reinforcements from the Squid Squad rally and push. Lee Captain gets the kills onto Quasar and Bordy as well, so that's nice. That's going to delay things a bit. But Stickman is going to bring the res out onto Bordy.
The only problem I see is the fact that...
now the away team has the big ult lead.
Plankton threw his ultimate. He ended up with picking up.
He got a lot of people, but there's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there was no one there to capitalize.
Chabons gets the Earth Shatter down, and it looks like they're going to get Klein. Big Wally takes out Cobalt after Cobalt dives in deep, looking for the kills onto the Squid Squad. But Chabons has overextended as well. Plankton and Chabons fall, and the away team is a whole lot closer. They've got the spawn advantage that's going to let them put in quickly enough before Squid Squad can totally rally here. Chabons and Plankton aren't quite back yet, so there's going to be a little free push coming in from the away team. Cobalt dives in way deep, though, before the rest of his team can come in to protect him. However, that Graviton Surge from Quasar sets up the tire from Griff nicely, and it looks like this is the engagement that the away team was looking for. Ichan, Lee Captain, they may still be up, but they're outnumbered, they're outgunned, and they're not going to survive long. And
this ends up coming up as
is
a
going to
cap
be
for
it.
the away team.
Yeah. That Doomfist out of Bordy is looking so scary.
He manages to impress me more and more, though. Like, I see it.
Yeah, I'm very happy with how he's been using it, but Toronto really needs to sort of step back and think, okay, what do we need to do to have an answer to this guy? Because right now they haven't found it.
It seems overall that Dunn has a questionable response for dive comps. They look generally kind of frazzled, a little disjointed, and panicky when it comes to combining ults in a situation where the enemy team is so in your face.
Yeah, and I do want to give the away team credit because they seem to be much more sort of... They're keeping better track of the Squid Squad's ultimates than we've seen out of the teams previously. Where, you know, every time up against Core Alpha, Plankton threw out his Graviton Surge, you were going to see a team wipe, or close enough that it doesn't really matter.
Right. And I don't want to say this in any way to, discredit the away team. I think they're doing a really good job. They have a very well-coordinated dive.
Mm-hmm. But, and a lot of it is sort of coming down to, I think, Toronto not quite having the reactions they need to get those picks. Especially because there were a couple times there where Cobalt dove in well ahead of the rest of his team. And if Toronto had been able to focus fire a little better, they might have gotten that opening pick and robbed the away team of meaningful initiation.
So what do you want to see out of both teams moving into this third map? I know one thing that I wanted to say before they started picking was I think that Chavins needs to do a better job of sticking with his team. He definitely, at some points, the bloodlust gets the better of him and has pushed in a little too far.
Yeah, though I will say also, like, I think you might be calling back to that one of those later fights, but some of that isn't entirely Chabones' fault. A lot of the time, the away team has done a good job of sort of separating him. I think that he definitely does have a tendency to overcommit, but I think that there is a little mind game, coming out from the away team. They're taking advantage of
that. Okay. I think that is definitely has the possibility to be the case. We also see possibly Bordy flirting with Doomfist again. No, he seems to switch to 76.
No.
All right.
And honestly, if I'm him, and Doomfist is pretty good on this point. It means that going through bottom is going to be a scary prospect because there is a large angry man with a giant fist there to punish, and his abilities do give him, they may be a little longer cooldown than the wall run from Genji's cooldown of nothing, but it can get him up to the high ground to sort of support his team the way they need it. However, what's interesting to me is we're seeing the Symmetra from Cobalt, and Quasar is the lone tank on his team. Klein. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people switching around.
Yeah. This is definitely interesting. I don't know if this has to be a thing.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty standard.
I'm questionable about the Orisa pick just in the case that, just like this, if they don't go front door or top door, you really have no way of stopping them.
Yeah, Plankton on the point contesting, and they force the away team to dive down before jumping up to the high ground and trying to get the picks. But Klein, seems to not be missing a beat, swapping from Lucio to Diva with 2 kills. And Cobalt, that's dangerous. Because if you're in, this engagement and there's chaos all around you, you don't necessarily notice the Symmetra coming at you before you've lost way too much of your health. Chabones is going to have to stick on that Symmetra, who's about to be able to bring out either the shield generator or the teleporter for their team. They're 90% to ulti. And Bordy...
I think we're much more likely to end up seeing teleporter on this map, just for the respawn time.
Yeah,
there are a lot of tiny nooks and crannies you can add that thing inside of, giving your team good respawn advantage.
Yeah, we'll see how they feel. Toronto taking up positions, kind of swinging out wide, whereas Big Wally does get the DMAC onto Klein very early on. Will they get the kill? Yes. So that's a good opener for the Squid Squad, but it doesn't really matter doesn't really matter because Cobalt
It
just
basically ends up
melts
amounting to
everyone.
nothing.
Yeah, no, Toronto doing an excellent impression of the Wicked Witch of the West and just melting away. However, we're seeing ultimates come up. We're seeing that Deadeye out of Lee Captain, and and there's a possibility he can make it work. Because Big Wally picks off Cobalt very early on. That's nice. That's an advantage. But Stickman forces out Wally. Wow, Wally's way deep. 3 kills in the back line, and just like that, man. I hope you got that.
I was watching that thing that all happened.
Yeah. Wally sets it up. Lee Captain and
trying
Plankton
to-
knock it down, and oh my god.
Wally was just hiding in the back line, trying to stop that Symmetra from dropping her thing.
Yeah.
He ends up killing Symmetra. Mercy comes into res. He pulls out Blade and ends up getting 3 out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was necessarily planned, but even so.
But it worked.
Solid work
It worked
out of
out. Sometimes, the ability to plan isn't quite as important as the ability to improvise. And Quasar is bleeding bad. Lee Captain and Big Wally nearly got that pick. And the away team is set up pretty far back, meaning that you're going to get a lot of free distance out of this initial push. Supercharger comes down from Quasar, but the Toronto squad is diving in deep, with Lee Captain getting picks onto Stickman and Griff. The turbocharger falls. Quasar's low. Bordy and Klein may be relatively healthy, but they are 2 men against the angry squad of Canadians knocking down their front door. And it looks like the Streets phase is going to be, just an absolute breeze for the Squid Squad.
It is a red tide washing over the away team.
They're from Toronto, not Alabama.
Hmm?
Alabama Crimson Tide. It's a NCAA joke.
Oh, okay.
What am I doing making a sports joke in an esports broadcast?
Exactly.
Yeah. Big Wally's getting close to that blade again, which
you can pull something like he did that
Yeah,
time.
you really got to watch out if you're the away team. But Lee Captain gets Griff. You can't sleep on him either. Big Wally immediately gets the back line and Quasar and just... Oh, wow. Bordy and Cobalt are, still alive. They're still getting kills, but Fanny Zhao has her Valkyrie and is able to bring her team back into it almost immediately. The kills did, buy enough time for the away team to rally and start to kind of come back in and try to mount a defense, but they're not getting too much done with it, especially with Lee Captain popping that Deadeye and clipping the wings off of the reinforcements before they can even get outside the door. Big Wally's a machine, man. He's been on fire this game.
He's been completely unstoppable with 2-3 pieces out of blades.
Yeah.
I have been just truly blown away because I haven't seen much out of him on that Genji pick, but he's...
Oh no, he can do
shut
work
me
with
up
it, yeah. All right. So it seems that the answer to Bordy on the Doomfist is to just nuke the site from orbit with Big Wally's Genji.
Generally speaking, if you have a good Genji player, a few things that can really handle it. And it looks like Bordy wants to test his luck. It looks like he thinks that he is the better Genji and aims to prove it.
All right,
Let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is.
We've got the honor duel being teased here.
Let us see who can mata.
All right, so looks like we're seeing a defensive composition I've not seen in a long time. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
This time. Oh.
I was ready for some solo queue, like Season 2 of Apex nonsense coming out here. I was hoping to see that Torbjorn and the Widow, because, I don't know.
Torbjorn can actually be pretty decent if you place her on the back end of the high point.
Yeah. Have them
look over that, and is pretty hard to shoot, so I wouldn't be against it
if they felt comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But they're sticking with their guns. We're seeing the dive comp, except with Lee Captain on the McCree. I guess you'd call it the semi-dive coming out for the University of Toronto Squid Squad.
And it looks like, really, other than Quasar, My though. Use my
Yeah,
words. We
we're
have a
just
full dive comp.
full on
Other
dive.
than other than maybe the Mercy, just because of how strong she is, I would frankly be confused if she wasn't picked right now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we have Cobalt diving in deep. Bordy following them in as well as the rest of the team. They come in right behind them. But League Captain gets that opening pick onto Griff, and that can make all the difference. But here's the thing. The combination of Fanny Zhao and Chabones were getting burned down really badly from the splash damage coming out. They go down, and suddenly Toronto's defense, which looked to be in a fairly good position, has just evaporated.
I mean,
but they're coming back in. They're trying to contest, and there is very little healing on point to really keep the away team in this. But Griff picks off Fanny Zhao, and suddenly the disadvantage is, suddenly Toronto's back on the back foot again. And the kill feed is just entirely in favor of the enemy team. League Captain tries to get something done with that visor, but that seemed like too little too late to my eyes. And Wally commits the blade as well.
Yeah.
That's two wasted defensive ultimates unless they intend to switch off, which they don't.
Yeah, I think they definitely should have held on to that, seeing that it was lost. Also,
yeah, Chabones and Fanny Zhao caught way ahead of their team. And Fanny Zhao, you're going to lose that Mercy, guys.
That was, to call it questionable is an understatement.
That really takes the structural integrity out of this brick wall that Toronto wants to build. And Big Wally's going to fall too. They're bleeding people. They need to disengage and fall back. Give up the space, because otherwise you're giving up your lives, and there's a whole lot more that the away team can do with that.
See, if they had waited by this point, they could have actually...
Yeah, they could have mounted a defense here, yeah.
But right now, they're giving so much space to the enemy team. They're probably going to get an finish.
And those kills and damage means the enemy team has an ult advantage. Bomb gets thrown out by Quasar. Doesn't find anything, but Cobalt does. He finds Fanny Zhao. Plankton gets demeched and pops out the bomb, but Cobalt's dead. They're not getting back into the mech. League Captain falls as well, and really the resistance that Toronto can put up at this point is purely symbolic. Wally's going to try, but with Ichan and Chabones falling ahead of him, he's not going to get much done.
Quasar's done a very impressive job on the Diva, both in supporting his own teammates defensively and pouncing on...
Yeah, we're seeing a good combination out of that Korean-style peel Diva and the more, aggressive, dive-heavy Diva that you'll see out of guys like Envious Mickey. All right, Griff swinging around as the rest of the team is coming right up the gut. Oh, Deadeye coming out from League Captain, and he's going to get the DMAC onto Quasar, and the kill is not far behind. Big Wally's on the Reaper now. Griff is coming in to try and get that backline harass. Quasar's back into the fight. Chabones is swinging away. Big Wally falls. This is absolute chaos, but it seems to be coming up in favor of the away team as Cobalt dives in deep with that Primal Rage. However, Fanny Zhao has the Valkyrie. She's able to bring Chabones back into the fight, and Quasar drops Big Wally. Bomb coming out from Quasar, and that could have been terrible. Bordy, however, takes out Chabones and League Captain, and Toronto's still on the back foot. Griff dives in deep and picks off Fanny Zhao. They're falling one by one. They're being divided and conquered, and they're not able to put any meaningful resistance on the point. They're not able to slow it down, and Big Wally is being penned in. He's trying to come in, but they're not going to get there in time. Wally swings away. Chabones is too late with the Earth Shatter, and...
there was nothing really they could do, and from watching, it's obvious to see why the away team has had such an easy time in split, with the dive comp. They do such an effective job of splitting up the enemy team. By that last take, as the car was coming around the bend, you had half of Toronto over by the Nambati stairs, and the other half making an actual...
It's a combination of Toronto being a little too ready to overcommit in these fights. They keep getting caught out of position a little further ahead than they need to be if they want to get things done. And the enemy team does just a very good job of swinging in and capitalizing on it. Yeah. And as much as I'd like to see that tiebreaker round, I think that is it for our games tonight. Because we are coming up on it's 9:20.
Yeah,
So
that may very well have been our last game. There's nothing going on in the chat at the moment to see whether we're
Yeah,
pulling out one more.
yeah, I would.
Hopefully we are, because I'd like to see something.
Yeah, I would really, really enjoy this. Dappercut wants to get into the spectators booth, but he's not getting. Okay.
No?
Yeah.
There we go. Looks like he's gotten it.
Yeah, everyone's on spectator all. All right. Looks like we might be going for one more game here.
Hopefully so. What map would you want to see out of them?
Ooh, that's tough to say. That's really tough to say. Part of me wants to see. Oh, we've got Anubis 2CP.
Okay, there we
All right.
go.
I'm okay with this because we really get to see the strengths of University of Toronto, the Squid Squad, on attack. They really, seem to have the rhythm of their engagements down by and large. It's the defense where they look a little rockier. And I want to see, obviously we don't have their team comms, but I have to imagine they've been, calling out the same things that we've been saying here. That they are a little overly aggressive. They're going too far. They're getting split up too much. And I want to see what answers they have to that.
A 2CP map, especially this one, is going to be interesting given the fact that Toronto definitely has a hard time, I guess, staying together when it comes to cohesive side takes. But I will also say...
On defense especially, they seem to be having a problem maintaining that unit cohesion.
And I don't know if that comes from a breakdown in communication or whether it's just purely getting pushed back away from each other.
This defensive comp is going to be kind of interesting coming out of the away team, because I imagine the Reese is going to set up right up front. That way, Cobalt can whip out with the hook, pull people into the line of fire. Quasar's Graviton Pulse can pull people in as well. Keep them in that open choke point to get spammed down by Quasar, Griff, and Bordy. And additionally, if the Toronto squad swings over to the left, all Quasar's got to do is rotate and place the shield, and Griff and Cobalt are going to have a great time spamming into this very narrow choke. So you're going to really need to rely on the mobility of this comp from the Squid Squad to dislodge that high ground defense early on. Otherwise, they could be running into a buzzsaw.
I will say one thing that's interesting.
If I'm right.
Interesting to not see a Widow here would feel like isn't necessarily a.
You do see Widow get pulled out a lot, and already you see that Graviton Pulse pulling people into the line of fire. Toronto swinging out to the right, trying to avoid the worst of the spam, but Quasar is still going to find Chabons. Chabons is dropped. Fanny Zhao is dropped by Bordy, and now Toronto is caught between a rock and a hard place. The best thing they can do here is die quickly, reset, and not, stick out this fight. Don't give the away team too much ult charge. Ichan and Plankton fall back. Big Wally falls. That kill is going to desync the spawns a little bit, meaning a little extra time.
It should only end up being a second or two.
Yeah, it's nothing dramatic, but every bit helps.
Of course. One thing I like to say in criticism for Toronto is the fact that Chavins never really ended up dropping a shield, and I don't really feel like I saw a lot of defense matrix out of Plankton, making that already difficult choke even worse so.
Yeah, because this is like stepping off a Higgins boat on Normandy. But you know what? I don't think they mined the beaches on Normandy quite as heavily as Griff has mined this choke. Taking out Fanny Zhao and Lee Captain, and just taking the teeth out of that push in a heartbeat. Plankton gets D-Mech too, which is only going to delay things further. They run in deep, and honestly, the away team could have let Plankton stay alive a little bit longer. Could have played with their food a bit more.
I feel like that would have been the smarter choice. Also, Lee Captain's too far, which I honestly may end up being a good idea. Also, at the same time, it'll help. Maybe a tracer to help burn down that hod.
Yeah, but Lee Captain raining those shots down. Big Wally still gets dropped by Griff. Griff has really had everyone's number right now with these really nice flanks, great use of the mines. But Toronto's going to try and dive over. They're going to attack the point directly and force the away team to come to them. But Bordy and Cobalt are going to start getting kills. Griff is going to pick off Fanny Zhao in the back. With a tire I don't think he needed to commit. But the Squid Squad is still going to be forced back. saw the Blade come out of Big Wally and get very little done. Jebons is going to have his ult for this next fight. Lee Captain could be very close.
We'll end up getting it somewhere midway.
Yeah.
Push. I think the Blade out of Big Wally was a little unnecessary.
I think, though, you could have a real hammer and anvil effect coming out from Plankton and the Captain combining ults. Whole Hog coming out from Cobalt, but, oh, wow, takes out Lee Captain as they bring out the barrage, meaning that's going to accomplish nothing other than drawing the res out of Fanny Zhao, who's going to get picked off by Bordy. Big Wally takes out Cobalt, but there's just so many bodies on the point that I'm not sure they're going to get much more done than that, especially when Plankton gets demeched and is just, picked off at the away team's leisure. Big Wally's stuck way behind as well. He's alone, and he's getting bullied into the corner for that stagger kill.
They've got time with waiting for Big Wally's respawn, maybe for one more push.
Yeah,
about, the
and you do have a bit of an opening here because Klein doesn't have that sound barrier. Big Wally's going to have the Blade much earlier. If Wally can be sort of supported, if the enemy team can be effectively corralled, there's a chance.
I think if
Concussion Mines
uses that, offensively.
Beat coming out from Ichan buys the initiation. Big Wally gets the tire kill onto Griff and kills Griff's tire and Griff. Bordy falls to lead captain, but is brought up by Stickman, who reses Griff as well. We've got a full team fight on the point. Quasar drops down the supercharger, but it's brought down quickly by lead captain. But it looks like the damage is already done. The away team is getting the kills they need onto the Squid Squad, and that's going to be it. We're not even going to see a tick captured for the Squid Squad.
That is... If you're a fan of Toronto, you hate to see that. That is really a brutal thing to watch. Every fight felt so convincing out of the away team.
That's the power of spamming that choke, because, if you can break through that initial choke, a lot of the time, the first point on Anubis will fall fairly quickly. But that's the trick. And when you've got guys... Griff especially I want to call out as the MVP, because it seemed like every time someone had an opportunity, there was a landmine just thrown right into their face.
Yeah. Overall, Junkrat is so incredibly powerful in CP maps, especially this one where you have such limited movement. I would have liked to have seen... Actually, I don't even know. What do you think? What would you say Toronto did necessarily wrong here? What would you have liked to have seen differently out of them?
I think Plankton needed to be a little closer to Griff. You need a coordinated dive between Plankton and Big Wally, because all that spam coming out is going to kill Big Wally and Lee Captain before they can get too much done. Plankton is going to be their real protection in that case. Have Plankton follow them in with the defense matrix. Use that Diva's mobility and the micro rockets to do damage, and the defense matrix to keep your team alive as they go in deep. I think, that extra little bit of coordination could have enabled them to get picks that didn't come with a body count on their end as well.
I think that's a very solid point. More than anything, I think that they just didn't do a very good job of focusing of focus fire.
That's the other thing.
They had solid coordination about when they were going to jump in, but not who. Once again, and I'll definitely give it to Stickman. Yeah. He's done an incredible job of staying alive throughout numerous times.
Absolutely. And here we go. Coming through the choke point is the away team, and they seem to be pushing just straight up the gut. No need for any flanks so far, not in their mind. Plankton is laying down some fire, but Chapman's, his shield is getting low already. Big Wally gets the kill on decline, though. That's good. That's going to force the res out of Stickman and make life a little harder for the away team. Big Wally is trying to do what Griff did, stay on that far right side, but he's going to get hooked by Cobalt and killed, forcing the res out of Fanny Zhao. Lee Captain does get Bordy, though, so they're still in a pretty good position. How the away team's on this high ground, and they can sort of dictate the pace of this fight at this point, because really the only people who can get up to face them are Big Wally and Plankton. Now they get to sit back. Now they get to shell a little bit and take the pace of the fight they want. And with Plankton out of the mech, that might be the fight that they want. Bordy picks up lead captain, And now there's a big man advantage coming in here. The away team dives onto the point, and they push Chabones away, but he's quick to respond with the charge onto Quasar. Tire coming out from Big Wally. Will he get the kills? He finds Griff. Quasar, however, does get the kill onto Big Wally, but Quasar, Stickman, and Klein are, relatively alone. Griff comes in. Big Wally's trying.
And Plankton, there he is.
Plankton saving the matchup for his team with kills onto Bordy and Klein. Now, Stickman can only bring Bordy up. Cobalt, though, Cobalt's got that whole hog. Cobalt's a problem solver, and they are so close to this cap. Chabones gets back an inch before, and a big Earth Shatter that knocks down nearly everyone still on the point, but there's not enough damage to capitalize on it, and
there we have
Toronto's forced off the point. Toronto is killed, and that's it. Pretty dominant showing from the away team.
Yeah, that was a really impressive third map out of the away team, which they've pretty much impressed me throughout these system of games. I think they were able to walk through that choke point with half the body count that Toronto had, and I gotta say, where was Big Wally? He was supposed to be, he's on the jump rep, but one person is really supposed to be choke denying.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think on this map we may have seen a bit of Toronto beating themselves. I think at this point, the communications had started to fall apart. The pressure was on, and they've already been a little rocky in dealing with these dives out of the away team, out of this really unbridled, unrestrained aggression. So I think that's something that Toronto's going to have to really look at going forward.
I completely agree. I think that it's definitely a place of improvement out of their team, as at least we did not see anything to scale out of Core Alpha.
Yeah.
So we never really got to see how well they handled the coordinated dive, and from the look of it, it's shaky.
Yeah, it looks to be the place that they need to really work on shoring up. The coordination did kind of come apart when the enemy dove in deep. You kept seeing these overcommitments, these out-of-position individual members of the Squid Squad, where they're just going to get punished, they're going to get killed, and you keep losing free point or free, distance or cap percentage. And it's rough. So I think
I think this is proof we are done for the night.
Yep.
I want to thank you all for, showing up and supporting to let us know how we did.
Yeah.
And, hope to see you guys for the next stream.
Yeah, we will see you guys whenever the next time it is we do this, whether it's Saturday or later on. Have a good evening, everyone.